excited to invite people to do some rethinking and reimagining and maybe provoke a little bit here along the way. And I do want to share a set of very specific ideas around leading and managing. But before we get there, I also think that it's critically important for us to zoom the lens out and really truly understand the profound shift that has happened in the world of work in these last 3 years. So yes, we've been through the pandemic, we've been through tremendous economic change. We've been through this thing that people are calling the Great Resignation, which then led for many to the Great Regret, and then the boomerangs. Then we've heard these terms like quiet quitting. And now I feel like it's time for the great realignment. The commonly accepted definition of success, the way that so many of us have measured success individually, seem to align fairly well with the way that organizations and corporations, those who would pay us to work, also measured success and productivity and output and income and revenue. And that kind of was the way it was. Like there was just an assumption that these two things synced up for literally generations. And all these things were what corporations looked for. And that's how you advance in them. You're more productive, better at output, and then you get, higher levels of income and revenue and whatever illusion of security we get. Like that's the way that the world worked. That's the way that we showed up. That's how we measured our own success. And that's how organizations looked at us and measured our success within the company. And as individuals, we looked at those same metrics and said, well, sure, that's a successful life. Like that is how I, as an individual, succeed. And over the last couple of decades, we've started to see a fraying of the edges of that entire concept where corporations, organizations, employers, and look, I run 2 companies. I have been an employee. I've been a team member. I've been a leader. I've been a founder. I've been a CEO. I've worked for some of the largest companies in the world as a lawyer. I worked for a massive government bureaucracy. I have played all roles in all sizes of organizations through, the last 3 decades, really. And we are seeing this fraying of the edges of that entire concept where corporations are still holding on to those exact same measures to manage and lead folks and determine, quote, success from the inside. In fact, even massive government institutions that measure the health of the economy all use really similar metrics. And yet the things that we just individual human beings, the things that allow us to be happy, to flourish, to come alive, to be healthy, have been shown to be very different from those metrics that for generations we have believed were the ones that betoken a successful life, and those very ones that organizations have often managed and measured us by. People, relationships, health, community, belonging, passion, purpose. These things all matter in a profound way, just as human beings who want to show up and walk through each day and feel good about ourselves, feel good about our lives, feel good about our health, feel good about our relationships. These matter, especially in the context of work, because it's the one thing that the vast majority of us will spend the vast majority of our waking hours doing for the rest of our lives. And we've known that for over a decade, a few decades now. The research has been mounting that there's this misalignment between the things that genuinely let us lead good lives and the way that we often define success and the way that those who lead and manage us define our success within teams and organizations. There's been this chasm. The research is mounting, and that this is not in sync. And yet we haven't really had the social cover, the normalization of elevating these fundamental human metrics to the level of money and status and power and productivity that we've traditionally associated with success and that we've often been measured by until just the last few years. when the entire notion of life, what makes a good life, how we measure a good life, and what we aspire to, it has been completely demolished, turned upside down. And we're now in this process of reimagining. And it is a stunningly fertile and opportune moment if we choose to step into it, both as just individuals who are working, contributing, as managers and leaders. And what we're seeing emerge from this window in time, this opening of a window that I also believe is going to close fairly soon, is a profound chasm between the way that organizations and corporations, those who employ people, continue to both manage for success and measure success, often using these older, more entrenched ways and terms, and the way that people now seek to live successful lives. So no longer are we just saying, oh, we know the science says all these other, quote, softer metrics matter, and then kind of walking away from them. We're now saying we've been turned upside down. We have experienced an elevation of the recognition of the importance, the critical importance of those other metrics, the ones that we said we'll get to someday, the ones that we sort of shunted off to the side, the ones that we said, oh, you know, like once I have these other boxes checked, well, then I'll get to those things. We have experienced the fragility, the shortness, the tenderness of life. And we, as both workers and contributors and as human beings, are no longer willing to just listen to the research and give lip service to it and not actually live it. Not just in our day-to-day lives, but in our work, in that thing that we spend so much of our lives doing. So we're literally doing this real-time relocation or reassignment, a realignment of the metrics by which we measure a successful life. All of us, one of the reasons that you are very likely here in Growth Day is because you are in this process of reexamination and reimagining, and all of those indicators, status, money, accumulation, and stuff, right? Beyond just the baseline security and sustenance level. You know, once we know that we have sort of like the bottom of Maslow's hierarchy of needs covered, all those other measures, they're losing out big time because we have been shaken to the core and made to realize there is more to life than this, and there is more to work than this. And this shifting on a personal level of what really we hold dear and sacred and important, especially in the context of the way that we do our work, and the holding on to of the old metrics by employers, leaders, organizations, this is what's leading to all the reimagining and resignations and quiet quitting and loud quitting and people not returning to the workforce under the domain of somebody else. And also to a mass increase in working for yourself. The number of new businesses and solo private practices and freelancers and portfolio careers that we are seeing emerge now is stunning. And this is people saying, I know what matters to me now. And my experience of what I get working for someone else, being led by someone else, being managed by someone else, living with the culture of another organization that I have not created, where I have not chosen the metrics by which I will step into my life. It's not working anymore. I'm not willing to actually sacrifice on that level anymore. People are they're no longer willing to just suffer through the old world metrics of success. They want a truly flourishing life. And they are no longer willing to accept anything less, including a work life that does not support these new non-negotiable aspirations.
This can be your day for personal growth. This can be that day you committed to and you remember and you go, that was the day I got myself a community. I got better coaches. I committed to making my life the absolute best that I could. This is that day. Make today your growth day. Click the button on this page and sign up right now.